that if people watch this, especially the people we're trying to reach, if they watch this, I'm hoping they get a sense of who you surround yourself with. You find the main thing is finding your purpose. What do you want out of life for yourself? Right? That was the first thing I think anybody should ask themselves. What's your purpose? And I think if they focus on what's their purpose and how to gain their purpose, move towards their purpose, right? Achieve their purpose, their goals, financial. Because I always said, even if I wasn't making money drawing, I'd be happy drawing because I love it that much, right? The money only comes because I do it. But if I didn't even get paid, but I could sustain my lifestyle, I'd still draw because that's the only thing I do well in life to me.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing that you would protect. Like if you if you wouldn't get a woman that would damage your access to drawing. And being
exactly. That's what Garfield and I talked about.
That goes back to what I said at the beginning. You have to find something you're good at.
Yes. And I would think if you find something you're good at, I'm assuming we're all on the same page to making them grow with that, right? But when I say education, I'm saying you need that education on how to deliver it to reach the masses of what you're trying to do.
But the cheap thing, but see, education might be expensive for some people,
right?
In terms of time or money, right? But being good at something is cheap.
True, but you still have to package it. You can do it all you want.
But you first have to have something to package.
Right, but you still have to, and when you find it, you have to package it.
You have to be good at something, and which means you have to be good at something so you can package it.
No, you can't package it without knowing how to package it. Because you wouldn't package it. What knowledge do you have to package it?
You have to have something to package first.
Right, but you have to know how to package it.
You have to first be good at something. That's the point. Right. All I care about is the start.
That's the purpose. I agree with that. 100%.
All I care about is the start.
Right.
How people dissect it. See, you got to understand something. Everybody don't have the same start point.
Right.
The whole point of the conversation is to give everybody the same start point.
And I would say the same starting point would be find your purpose, what you feel you're good at, what you want to do in life.
And your path to your purpose is actually being good at something. That's the main point. So then that determines what additional information you take in and access to make the thing you're good at better. That's the only thing that I'm saying.
Exactly. You want to water it. You want to give it some. You want to give that dirt some water.
You got to give it fertile ground to grow to be successful.
Exactly.
So to reach its full potential.
Yes. Exactly. Right. To reach its full growth. I agree with that. And you being an educating Garfield, you would agree with that.
Yeah, I like that. I can rock with it.
Right. And I think that's why I always say, for me, I can never understand why teachers are paid so bad when they're the first thing in life to give the education they need to people. I just can't understand that for the life.
It's like
you from Montreal, bro.
We have the same thing. We have the same problem in Montreal. We have the same problem in Canada. I can't believe. It's like people that go into the army. It's like they put their lives on the line to come back to being treated like shit. Like they're homeless, like they're the bottom of the barrel. I don't care what anybody says. I've never heard a good story from a guy coming back from the army with his and I go, how come you don't get, it's hard to get, the medical, it's hard to get this. I'm like, you guys just did pay the ultimate sacrifice. Why should you come back to being treated like that? You should have, if anything, you should have a goal. You should have a goal path to where you need to do and what you need to get.
I would say this as a 20-year military vet and a retiree, everybody that was a military vet did not do what they were supposed to do while they were in.
Yep.
If you did what you were supposed to do while you was in the military, I mean, you wouldn't be on the streets. But I will say this. Now, this doesn't have anything to do with the mental illness or different things like this. But what I will say is I'm not talking about those people that fall into those categories. I'm talking about the people, because the thing about it is, if you get kicked out of the military, you're not always afforded the opportunity to go to the VA and different things like that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So in the military, even the vets, they have a lot of programs. They have programs for homeless vets out there. So
why would you say there's so many homeless vets out there?
Everybody ain't a homeless vet. And everybody ain't a homeless vet either.
Well, and the other thing is too, I call them addressless people, because like veterans have access to shelter care and stuff. They just don't want to do the treatment schedules and stuff like that. If it's drug treatment or whatever classes, there's plenty of access to resources. It ain't that many. Like, I ain't saying it, you gonna always have like that one vet that you can always have some exceptions, you know what I'm saying? That's going to be catastrophic that you can't predict.
Right.
But by and large, ultimately, people do whatever it is to attain the comfort that they think that they can afford. Like if you, because it comes back to how successful.
You think it's a choice then? It's a choice for the vets?
Everything's a choice.
No, but you're saying the vets that don't take advantage of the system you just laid out. Is it because they choose not to get that mental health?
The vets that I know that aren't benefit from being a vet, they're making choices to not doing it. The ones that I know, I can't speak. Speak. Yep. Man, look, wow. Look, I'm a real estate investor, and Garfield will tell you that he was still reluctant to get into real estate, and even though I was in it. So it's not like he didn't have an access point. It's just a matter when he decided it was going to be important enough to do something about it. You see what I'm saying?
Wow. So these vets know they can get the help they need, but they choose not to.
Everybody ain't created with the same start point, man. You got to understand something like
not that creative, because you just said they can choose to do it or not.
Yeah, but you got to understand, a lot of people that join the military, they ain't joined because they patriots. They joined because they had their second to last option. So they weren't passionate about joining. They probably weren't good at it while they was in. So they didn't do the other stuff around it to protect what they felt like their career should have amounted to, because they didn't go into it with the same intent. That's why being good at something is so important. You'll do the peripheral things to protect the time. Me and Garfield served. I got out at 12 years and 7 months. I get 100% disability. I got all my resources that I could get. And I probably got more that I haven't even checked in on. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, I took care of the staple things that embody a dignified service career for the length of time that I stayed in. You know what I'm saying? And I live a certain type of life where I can say that proudly, you know, and not from a patriot standpoint, because I'm a man and I made certain sacrifices that other people couldn't do or wish they could have done. You know what I'm saying? And I'm making the most out of it, you know? Then on the other side, like Garfield did 20 years, you know what I'm saying? And he's been in school since I met this man. It would be uncharacteristic.
I'll be done next year.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the deal? Okay.
Yeah, family.
It'll be uncharacteristic to hear about the Unkle Junior getting caught up in something negative that's well outside of his character, because it would jeopardize the time that he put in. Men make investments in themselves when they commit to something. Generally speaking, most human beings do when they decide how successful they want to be at something. Again, I'm just repeating the same things I've been saying. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to program it, because we are programmed to make certain choices when we are met with certain stigma. You see what I'm saying? Like, like you could sit back and read a situation like, I can't believe that they wouldn't support the veterans that blah, blah, blah. But you don't know every veteran's responsibility, because did you serve?
Yeah, but I guess I'm generally speaking that I think.
No, I'm just saying, like, these aren't attacking questions. This is like, what I'm trying to do is, a lot of people give information from seats that they've never sat in. You know what I'm saying? This is a general conversation because all of us have had some kind of service, right? That's why we're having this conversation. But we're talking about most people haven't served. They don't have the same obligation for duty, the same obligation for leadership, accountability, all these things that we have lived and been brainwashed and institutionalized by for the greater good, right?
Right. But
so you are trying to give people a spoon that have never eaten with nothing but their hands to some, and you see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, they may have seen people eat with spoons. They may have seen people use certain tools that everybody else, you know what I'm saying, can identify as commonplace. But because they never had an application available to use the tool and say, oh, now I know why they call it a spoon. Now I know what it's used for. Like, I rode my bike to California from Texas, and we was coming back. We came through Kansas. I stopped in this place that was outside of Nicodemus. I never forget it. We get ready to get gas, about to head back down to Texas. So I think we was going to Oklahoma after that, whatever, right? So we sitting there, and I see this kid get out, and he's trying to put gas in the car. And his mom gets out and said, no, you have to stick the card right here. And then she was like, I got it. Let me show you one time, and then you go ahead and go grab something at the store. And I'm like, what's going on? And then she comes around, she peeks around, she said, this is the first time using a debit card. You would think that a debit card would be easy for anybody to see use, right?
Right.
But the first time he had to use it, he didn't complete the task as efficiently as he should have because he had never used it. You see what I'm saying? We assume too much for people.
But I'm just, for me, because I'm passionate about the vets and about, I think that, I get to draw and I get to do what I do because
everybody don't want the same thing when they join and when they get out.
And I get that. I get that. But if I was to generally paint a brush, which I'm doing right now, I just think anybody that has served and done their part to protect this country and freedom and, to give everybody the freedoms they have. I just think that when they come back, no matter what they did in there or not, I don't know. But for me, they should be able to not be in a situation there shouldn't be homeless vets. There should, because that person, he's made the ultimate sacrifice. And I just think, for me, they shouldn't come back to what they come back to.
I don't agree that service is the ultimate sacrifice.
If you're putting your life on the line to get shot and killed, that's like a police officer and everybody. I'm like, everybody, I don't know about you, but I don't wake up to put on a bulletproof vest to make sure I don't get shot.
Well, nobody does, but
okay, but the vets do. The vets do, right? Army people do. At any time they can be called to war. At any time they can be called to war, right? You don't? Go ahead.
So, as a veteran, I don't agree with none of that. Because I didn't join the Army based on patriotism. You know what I'm saying? I joined the Army to get resources.
Yeah, okay, fine, but you can still go to war and get shot.
I can get shot on the street.
But that's not the point, though.
It is the point.
Yeah, the point is anything can happen on the street. I'm talking about making the decision to go into the Army to get shot.
I'm just demonstrating.
Get shot at.
I'm just demonstrating the difference that everything that you're saying isn't a blanket statement that's true for everybody, especially about demographics.
If you join the Army, it's a chance that you can go to war and get shot. Yes or no?
If I don't join the Army, I can
wait. First, wait. If you join the Army, you join the Air Force. There's a chance you can go to war and get shot and killed, right?
All things true, yes.
Okay. All things being true, if you make that choice, rather you make it for a good decision, bad, it doesn't matter. The fact that you're waking up every day, that you could go to war and get shot at, to me, that's a form of patriotism, because of the fact that you're willing to do that to protect the country, because that's why you're doing it. I think that's to be commended. Because not everybody can wake up and say, "Whoo, I dodged a bullet stepping on a landmine today." I mean, that's the.
Well, I'd like to give you insight to people that don't think like that, that's in uniform.
Okay.
Are you open to it?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people that look just like me that don't give a fuck about patriotism. We joined the Army because of resources and had to take care of a family, and that was it.
Okay.
And the other thing is, it's not serving the country, it's serving my family and serving my people. Like, if the Army,
but that's the way you look at it.
No, that's reality.
No, that's the way you look at it.
No.
You are serving the country.
You're interrupting me.
You're serving the country.
But you're interrupting me. I let you talk, and I'm trying to tell you.
But you got to stick to the facts, though.
I am. Look, I'm sticking to my experience. I let you talk, and I'm trying to tell you.
The fact is, you are serving the country. You got to say it like that. It is a fact. You may say you're serving your family, which you are.
That's
The
rhetoric.
fact you're serving the country.
That's rhetoric, and I'm trying to explain to you from where I am. It doesn't matter how you interpret it.
Okay.
It's true.
No,
because
it's not.
Because like you just said that people join and serve the country and everything else, right?
That's the reason the Army
that's the principle, that's the doctrine, that's the written words. People don't join the Army because they say, I have an affinity to serve this country.
That's what I said to you.
Look, and I'm trying to explain to you why the people that I'm talking about join the Army. You're talking about one part of it, and if people only capture, when people only capture that part of it, it's going to sound like it's a bunch of people that's saying join the Army because your life is going to improve. No, we're saying we're using the circumstances that we were given, because we're talking about leadership, men, things of that nature. I'm trying to focus the conversation back to it. You see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't sound like it, but trust me and follow what I'm trying to say. People that I'm trying to affect that look like me don't join the Army out of patriotism. They join the Army out of an opportunity to create structure and resources for their own people. So like, even when you saying that, you're talking to a demographic of people that was talked to like, you don't go join a white man's army. You see what I'm saying?
I wouldn't call it that, but okay.
No, it doesn't matter what you would call it. I'm talking about the people that have heard it a certain type of way. See, you're thinking about what your personal experience is, and you're not thinking about how people hear it because you're not talking to men the same way that I'm talking to men. And that's just true. And that's just geography. You see what I'm saying? Like, people in California don't give a fuck about joining the army. I live in Texas. I got a bunch of lost men out here that's looking for a way out. I'm in the trenches with these folks. You see what I'm saying?
I think you're missing my point of what I mean by.
No, I know. I'm not trying to see. Look, this isn't about whether or not we see each other's point. I'm trying to give you context as to why I have a disagreement with what you said. But I wanted to be captured that I'm not disagreeing with you because what you said was wrong. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Because I have a certain obligation to people that pay attention to what I say. So I don't mind taking the long way to explore what we're talking about, because like, your perspective is a very, very general perspective, because you said generally speaking, right?
Right, because I think
I'm a details oriented person. I'm trying to talk to you about a specific demographic of people that would disagree with you, that you would probably have odds at. You know what I'm saying?
What would they disagree in what I said? The fact that if you join,
everything that I'm disagreeing with,
the fact that if you join, you are putting your life at risk, they would disagree with that?
Yeah, because it's a lot of gigs in the army where you're not gonna get at risk. Like,
so you think that when you join, there's no chance of war happening for those vets?
I think the chance of war happening is already understood, because most vets are already coming from situations where they know that they could die anyway. Nobody joins the army thinking they're gonna go to sleep nowhere. I think the threat, see, that's the thing. See, joining the army implies that there's threat already that people recognize what's dangerous, what's not. So if you live a life where you recognize danger and it's a possibility your life can be on the line, and you still join the army, it's not nothing that's new. You see what I'm saying? If you live in a place that already got gun violence, do you say yes or no that you can get robbed in California?
You can get robbed in California. You can get robbed anywhere. Right?
You get robbed anywhere. That's the same point. You see what I'm saying?
But that's I'm not going to look for it.
But that's the way out. That, of course, you're not going to go look for it. Just like if you go serve in the army, it's volunteer, right?
Yeah, but there's a likelier chance that you go to war.
But you just told me that there's a likelihood you can get shot on the street without joining.
That's what I'm trying to say. But here you can go looking for it. It's automatic that somebody can send you there.
But my point being is this: you can mess around and start a conversation that gets into the dialogue of the details of who's oversimplifying whose situation. And I'm trying to tell you that from this aspect of young men that lack guidance and structure, in order for us to see our community improve, both dating or whatever, you got to have men with structure out there like that. Do you agree that the men that's having this discussion right now are men of structure to some degree, right?
Yeah, of course.
And what's the thing that separates us from people that we probably don't necessarily think are the best fit for the structure that we live in? Probably folks that didn't serve, right?
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
So if you focus your attention on those people, do you think that the military would benefit a large demographic of men that's in the population?
Now?
Yes.
I think it would.
Okay. So if we think that men would benefit by joining the military, right?
Right. I think there is.
And there's an anti patriot vibe in America right now, has been for a while, right?
I would agree with recently,
because the numbers don't reflect people joining.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so the last thing they want to hear is a bunch of old men talking about the army in a fatalistic way of viewing it. Because the reality is that all of us can get shot anywhere. Those same people that we want to join the army that we think can benefit from it are saying the same thing. They're saying, I ain't got to go join the army to go get shot. You know what I'm saying? I can stay out here and get shot, because they think the benefit of being shot on the street is different than the benefit of getting shot in the military. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But we don't want to think about it in a negative view. We need to be talking about it from a structural community improving tool view. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
The minute that you start off with serving the country, it puts a false connotation and a false narrative in people that aren't patriots to begin with. But if you speak to them and say, hey, look, I want you to improve. This is an institution that I use to improve myself. And the Army is all about what? Building leaders and self-improvement, right?
Right.
So if we focus on the institutional development that every individual can benefit from, that we're experiencing right now, and understanding order, discipline, code, things of this nature, right? Then we have to have a conversation that speaks to the benefits of why we joined, not about people having, you know what I'm saying, limited options, so to speak. But you got to understand why, when you got a lot of negative influences outside of that, and people can't see structure as something that they can benefit from. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the issue. That's the issue that I'm trying to get to. But see, when we have the small, you know what I'm saying, in the details conversations that aren't geared towards problem solving or solutions, the person that might watch 5 to 8 minutes of this video is going to be like, damn, they just going back and forth about somebody being in the Army, instead of talking about the solution, the added value of why it's in it. So like when you bring up the Army or things of that nature, military service, or anything that is structured, talk about the benefits of being on the other side of it more than talking about the danger associated with it, because dangers imply for all of us.
Exactly, but that's why I said for me, anybody that puts their lives at risk doing a job like that or wants to do something like that, I take my hat off to them. I have the utmost respect for vets. I have the utmost respect for them. That's how I look at it, right? So I'm just saying, if I didn't know what I wanted to do in life, like now I'm saying, I hope in my second life, I come back and I want to be a pilot. I know that, like a jet pilot. I was telling Garfield, I want to be a jet pilot, landing on aircraft carriers, all that stuff, right? That's in my second life, right? Because my passion right now, it doesn't. That's what I love.
Too old to go in the military now.
Yeah, but even if I wasn't, I love art too much, right? But that's me. But I'm saying in my second life, that's what I wanted to be my first passion, is to go into flight jets.
See, some people be trying to live their second life without the skill that goes with it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
and then when it doesn't work, you know what they do? The thing they should have did from the jump.
Okay.
An artist.
I found that out early though. That was my mom. I would give my mom credit for finding me out to be an artist, not me.
Man, you ain't even got no folk. You ain't even got one of your arts in the background today.
You know what? You know what? I forgot. I totally forgot. I was so focused on connecting with you guys. Like I'm cussing myself out, saying, how come I can't get on time? Like I'm here, but I don't know what to click.
Hey, because that's the thing. All the resistance that you met was all on you. You see what I'm saying? All I'm saying is that when you focus on yourself, you recognize your greatest conflicts of how you respond to stuff. Right. That was actually happening to you, because after it's happened, the only thing that matters is how you respond to it.
Right. I agree with that. But okay, go ahead. Sorry. Garfield.
All I'm saying is that I guess the fusion point of this conversation is about making sure that we're available to listen, to understand. You know what I'm saying? Before we form an opinion that we can't go back and unpack because we canned it too tight. We have to leave room to have our opinions changed with new information, new application of information too. You see what I'm saying? Because somebody can tell you to apply the same thing, like work hard and you'll be successful, right? Now, if you're on a fucking hamster wheel, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Unless success looks like something that, like success on a hamster wheel might be like, congratulations, you stopped. Now you get promoted. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to do the opposite. Because like we conflate working hard with physical exertion too often. Sometimes you could be working hard in the wrong damn direction. You know what I'm saying? Be completely off course. You know, we have to understand, where do we see ourselves at the end, and then work backwards from that point. And that determines the decisions that you make in the present. That determines how fast you how fast you snap to judgment or slow to judge, or willing to participate a little bit of equity in terms of time and energy just to see it play out, to validate your own devices. You see what I'm saying? Like I got in a discussion today, I signed a lease with this lady, and she was under the impression that I was going to split business with her off of vending trucks and stuff like that. No, I signed an agreement lease to operate out of space, not a business agreement for you to make money and have equity in my deals. There's two different things. You see what I'm saying? So like I bring you to the space, but I got enough boundary where I can regulate how you have access to my space. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And the thing is, you can't think like that if you're not moving in, you know what I'm saying, in ways where you have to use those analytical skills to actually apply them to things, to create fusion, so you can understand the power of what it is that you've already learned and know where to put it. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can go out here, like, man, look, me and Garfield had this conversation all the time. We have worked individually to become successful. We understand what we understand, and now our greatest things that have made this take place are the conversations that we've had when we stop talking about ourselves. You see what I'm saying? Like Garfield was like, hey man, I can make you some commercials. I can do this for you. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna shoot you some videos and just see what happens. And then this man helped me sell books. You see what I'm saying? He didn't help me walk around the mall. He's a great guy, you know? And the thing is that that's code. Men see each other doing certain things and then they volunteer because that man's useful. We're useful to each other. So we want to give it away because we've always endeavored for our talents to be validated by the people that we want to impact the greatest. You see what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this, because you keep saying code a lot, right? And I'm new to that word. I don't know what, and I've heard other people say it. When a person says, how did they say it? I want to say it in a way that what is that? It's blurry. I can't.
You gotta move it back forward.
It's blurry.
I'm coming in.
Oh, is that your book? It's still blurry, but is that your book?
Yep.
Yeah, that's your book. Okay. How come it's blurry?
Oh, because I had the filter on.
Background.
Oh, but isn't he not blurry? So why would it be blurry if he?
Well, I'll take the filter off. Choose video.
No, but why would it be blurry if you're not blurry if you just lift it up in front of you?
Probably the way the camera captured.
There you go. Now it's not blurry.
Right there.
Yeah, I think it's just the camera. Like I had to bring it in. Can you see it now?
Okay, now I got it clear as day. Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
When you say code, like there was this other topic that someone was talking about, and I don't want to mention her name because she pisses me off.
Yeah.
And she said Black people aren't on code as a community.
Yep.
Is she only talking about the Black community, or when she says code, she means the race, the entire, Black and white?
I don't know. I'd have to see her whole opinion on it. I know I have my opinion.
Okay. Let me say it the way she said it. She said Black people aren't on code in the community. Is she talking about the same code you're saying right now?
Probably.
Okay, that's what I want to understand.
So I'll just read the mission statement off of my book.
Hold on, let me see if I can add something in there. I think I know what Antoine is talking about. I think I know who you're talking about too.
Right.
You going in and out, bro?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All
right. I think I know who Antoine is talking about, and I think I know the show and everything else like that. And I think they were talking about not having code, and then at least on the show. Actually, you know what? I digress. Before I go and make a mockery and make a fool of myself and trying to quote something, I'll just back up and I'll let you roll with it. Because I thought I had it, but then as I started spitting it out, it wouldn't come.
Okay.
To me, so
yeah,
roll with it.
But I think you know what I'm talking about.
I think I do. Yeah.
I've been trying to understand that since that time. I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, like, number one, when people talk about Black people, like let's set the discussion field first. That way people don't get offended and then they can find where their feelings go. You know what I'm saying? Because like I don't have nothing negative to say about Black people that's not from where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? Everything I'm saying comes from a world traveler's experience.
Right.
I'm from the heart of the civil rights movement. Well, one of the key local battlegrounds from Birmingham, Alabama. Martin Luther King got jailed in my city. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The 16th Street, you ever heard of 16th Street Baptist Church bombing?
Yeah, I heard that.
That was in my city. Like, you know what I'm saying? The KKK actually hurt people in my city. You know what I'm saying? Killed people in my city. So my opinion about Black people is relative to the city in which I come from and compared to wherever else I've been. So when you hear Black people have different opinions, the things that other Black people may choose to take offense to are relative to their understanding about their own origins. You see what I'm saying? So like, I feel like Black people in America are just as diverse, or in North America are just as diverse as Black people on the continent of Africa. Okay. Africa has 52 countries on it. You know what I'm saying? There's different currencies, different tribes, different dialects, and everything else. And the majority of the people there look like us. You see what I'm saying? When they have beefs with each other, they probably fight. They probably settle their situations too, because largely Africa is pretty stable. You know what I'm saying? As a continent, you know what I'm saying? Right. They probably got some spots that's got some disputed territory. They got something to deal with resources. We know what the conversation is with Africa, always has been and always will be. Resources, right?
Right.
So whatever point she came to her path of enlightenment that formed her opinion, right? That's why I say all things are true. It doesn't matter if you agree with it or not. It's true to her. Right. That's not an invitation for you to go convince somebody else that what she's saying is wrong or what she is saying is wrong based on, because the only thing you're gonna counter with is what? Your personal experience, your personal interpretation of the information you read. Right. Instead of saying that she's wrong, ask her for the reading material that she found that gave her the opinion that she had. Read what she got compared to what you know and see if it fits. Okay. If it fits, y'all might be part of the same tribe, the same way of thinking. You see what I'm saying? If it doesn't fit, it's just a different dialect that you don't understand. Right. And understanding that person that thinks differently than you, are they coming from a negative place as to why they think differently than you? They probably don't. And if they don't come from a negative place, then that's when you got to say, am I making an obligation to connect to something that I don't understand for my own personal goal? Or you can just say, you know what? That's how they think and leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? We use discernment everywhere else. How many times you look at something like, oh, well, that ain't none of my business.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving. We got to learn how to keep it moving, because ultimately when that person goes in their house, and if they ain't ever meant no harm to you, and they just got an opinion that you disagree with them on out of that one time, and y'all probably agree on 23 other things, you are the only one that's going to be dwelling in confusion. If you choose to connect to why they chose that answer they chose based on their path of understanding, you got to understand too, people choose answers relative to how far they see where they're going in the future. So you may not dedicate the time you like for them to dedicate on the thing that you want them to dedicate it to right now. You know, like right. Garfield could say right now, he could talk to me about, I don't know, Virginia Tech football. I don't care because they're not playing in January. You know what I'm saying?
you hear them shots fired? You know you're Alabama fan, so all he did was shots fired right there. I picked it up.
It's not even shots fired. It's fumble recovered. You see what I'm saying?
There you go. He's still shooting. Still shooting.
I let the chopper out, baby. You know what I'm saying? I don't ever say that. So my point being is this right here. When people close that door, they don't care about what goes on in any other person's household. The only people that do are emotionally disturbed folks. Right. Because it's got to be a mental disorder to be concentrated on people that you don't even like. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I do want to come back to his question though.
Yeah, go ahead.
About the code though.
Okay.
Yeah. The question you asked was, Antoine, was what kind of sort of what does it mean by code? You was kind of looking for an explanation of what code means.
Yeah, does it mean only for the Black community, or it means white people can have their own code, or Asians can have their own code? Like, is it a code specifically for Black people?
I will say, I will give you my opinion about what code means. All right.
Yeah, so, you go ahead. I'm a mute.
I didn't look up anything, and this is just code in general. All right. So when we talk about, like, let's just use the bro code, right? So when I was in the Army a long time ago, back in the 90s, right, there was a certain thing, we had bro code, right? There were certain things you don't do. You don't mess with other people's women. It's just be respectful. You know what I mean? Just how we move as men. You know what I mean? There were certain unwritten rules that went to the bro code, right? Protect each other, look off each other, blah, blah, blah. Even if no one really mentioned the bro code or really had deep conversations about it, you was just like, nah, that ain't right. You like, man, this dude, he married, you know what I mean? Him and him, they boys, but he over there messing with his wife. That's bro code. Like, that's code. You know what I mean? It's like, I look at it as like written set of rules or unsetting of rules that's everybody in that community abides by. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at code. So if we're in here in this platform and those three right here, there are some written rules or written or unwritten rules about how we should operate and how we should respond to each other, how we should talk to each other. All of those things are code. There's respect. There's automatic respect. Because in just like with men, there's automatically going to be a certain amount of respect there. You know, when we
because men can kill each other and men recognize threat. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's what kind of sort of code means. It's like written or unwritten rules that everybody in the community or that little market, you know what I mean, abide by. That's what I'm looking at. So when you say somebody's off code, that means you're operating outside of the rules of our community.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's not always written, and sometimes it's expected that other people understand our code. So I would tell you, here's a simple one. So like in Vic, I'll tell you like with spades or dominoes. All right, there are certain people that play spades, joker, joker, deuce. Certain people, joker, joker, deuce, ace. Certain people don't have certain things in them. Blind sixes, all these different things that go into spades there.
People where you go,
where you go, the demographics, where you located at can determine the code of where you're at. So I think, to sum it all up, and not so many words, is code is just a written or unwritten rules, or how people conduct and operate themselves within said group.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay,
But Vic, if you want to elaborate or go more into details about it, then.
Yeah, like from the user end, that is the general intent. Like all of us was in the Army, right?
No, just me and you.
That's you.
Okay.
You two.
So let me give you. What branch of service were you in, Antoine?
I was in the Army.
Oh, okay.
Served.
Okay, good.
I just have the utmost respect for them.
Okay, so this is even better. So in the Army, it's like this, right? Like I like real world scenarios. Most Army people like real world scenarios because that's how we get trained.
Okay.
Private Garfield and I are walking to the DFAC, and both of us are E2s, fresh out of AIT, don't know anybody anywhere. AIT is like tech training, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we fresh out of tech school, new with the unit. This senior NCO, which is a non-commissioned officer, just what happened to be, we're going to say for the sake of discussion, is Sergeant Major Lewis, who is a DISCOM Sergeant Major. Now, all of this terminology means that this dude is a top dog, you know what I'm saying, on the local food chain, you know what I'm saying, and chain of command. So in military customs and courtesy, let's simulate that you're the sergeant major, right?
Okay.
Me and Garfield are walking. We're going to go get something to eat. Proper customs and courtesy. You have to address a senior NCO like, good afternoon, sergeant major, right?
Right.
Let's say we walk past him and don't say anything. Oh, he gonna go in our shit. You know what I'm saying? Right then and there. Do you know who I am? That type of energy. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then generally speaking, we really didn't know, but we didn't want to be offensive. So we felt like not saying anything was the best thing that we could do. Right. You know what I'm saying? But we ain't gonna respond that way because not knowing is the worst answer that you could ever have. It has no accountability, right? So Senior Sergeant Major could just berate us and not tell us nothing. Instead, Senior Sergeant Major says, here, I'm giving you guys this handbook. So the next time you see a senior NCO, it's got all the faces by it, so you know who to recognize. Because the biggest issue, sometimes you just don't recognize somebody, right? So when he said, the next time you go in that DFAC, look, which is the dining facility, you're gonna look on the wall, they got pictures up there that's in charge of things, right? Might be in charge of that building. So when you look at that person's face, you're associated with that building. So the next time me and Garfield see this DISCOM Sergeant Major, you know what we say? Good afternoon, Sergeant Major. He gonna ask us a couple of questions to see if we paying attention to what's in the smart book. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but the thing is, you have to write a smart book where it's digestible because it's a big deal. But what's the only way you can eat an elephant? Same way you eat a piece. You know what I'm saying? A piece at a time, right? So you have to establish rapport And if you don't know how people communicate with you, then how are you going to communicate with them about the respect that you're supposed to have?
Right, right.
So you have to step down from where you are and understand that it might be the first time that anybody's ever seen you, talk to you, or anything to that nature. So that's why I always caveat and say, hey, all things true, because I already recognize somebody's going to be speaking from their feelings or a pet peeve. I recognize when I'm going to speak from feelings or a pet peeve. So I'm saying, hey, look, this is what is acceptable, but this is my pet peeve. You know what I'm saying? I will specify that, you know, but generally speaking, code shouldn't have to have any left or right. You see what I'm saying? Because if you own code, what's understood don't need to be
said.
See how you guys are already learning? That's my point.
He's funny, right?
that was a good trap.
Yeah, you got us. I mean, but that's, you know, I get that.
Okay.
We have to find ways to funnel ourselves into some being accountable somewhere.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Why do you think today then wait, how would I say this? Oh, are we off topic? We're off topic, aren't we?
And we've been off topic, but I don't care. Let's roll with it.
That's why didn't we just talk about saying we shouldn't be off topic?
We did talk about how we want to stay on topic as much as possible.
Okay, we gotta get that for the next time then.
Yeah.
So this code thing, right? So it's fair to say code is being respectful, knowing when to speak, when not to speak, you know, addressing your elders in a proper way, all that sort of good stuff, right? And off code, and I have to refer to her because that's the only person I've really heard really say it. So when she's saying Black people are off code, is she saying they're off code in the way they conduct themselves? Do you think, Garfield, or do you think she meant Black people are off code because they're letting the white people know what they're doing?
I think when
you heard what I heard.
All right, I think when it came to that situation, she was talking about having certain conversations around other people who didn't necessarily look like them. So they were in mixed company with people who may have been Muslim or Arab and maybe some white people or whatever. And they were talking and having conversations, and they were like, you know, you guys are not on code, because pretty much what happens, we should only be talking about it amongst ourselves. We shouldn't be having conversations about X, Y, and Z. We shouldn't be having conversations about Black men and Black women around white people. And I think that was kind of sort of, if I remember correctly, that's kind of sort of what it was about
non-Black people.
Around non-Black
and that's
people.
Why, that's what I understood when she said that.
Yeah, around non-Black people.
Around non-Black people. But in my mind, I'm thinking, well, why would you say that if the panel is not non-Black people? Like, why do you have those topics if you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The smart thing would be to do is not have them there then.
Hey, I told you was a different kind of Black.
But I don't believe in that. But I'm not saying I believe in it.
No, but what I'm trying to tell you,
I call out what I call out.
And that's cool. And you a different type of Black. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And that's the difference why you don't understand the dialect on some things, on what's code and what's not. You see what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with you having an opinion about that. Well, I'm trying to get you to understand, and for future reference, that when you get excluded, that's not an invitation to get upset or be confused sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to settle, let it wait, have additional conversations that only have nothing to do with the person where you was hearing it from, to get a better understanding of what she's talking about. And that's what's taking place right now. You see what I'm saying?
But Garfield, and
I wasn't there at the conversation.
No, but that's why I was just about to say, Garfield, I want you to include Vic on this one. When she was talking, right? She was talking and saying she didn't want the other people on the panel because they were non-Black to hear what 2 Black people or 3 Black people were discussing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the topic that the 2 or 3 Black people were talking about, they were right.
Mm-hmm.
So she's saying she didn't want the white people to hear that what they were saying were right, but
yeah. So
they were saying what was right about what the Black people.
I get it
were.
now.
So she didn't want them to hear that because you're calling out Black people and they're wrong and they're showing that they're wrong. She didn't want the white people to hear that. Is that what she was saying?
Yeah, and that's part of what I already said and I already answered earlier too. I've already answered a lot of the questions. Women don't have no code.
But do you think it's wrong, Garfield?
When I say women don't have no code.
Let me ask Vix this. so she shouldn't have. So if black people are doing wrong, and because white people are present, you shouldn't call them out on doing wrong.
I didn't say you shouldn't call them out. I think you got to read the room, and I think she was right in that situation.
Right,
and I don't know.
Right in what?
Knowing the audience, maybe she.
But
I think the conversation was on
right
code
because what the black people were doing were wrong, right? What they were doing was wrong, and because listen, just hear me out. I'm going to create this scenario. I'm going to tell you what it was. What the black people were doing were wrong, straight up wrong, and because the white people heard a black person saying what they're doing is wrong, do you think that those white people didn't have a right to hear that the black people were doing wrong because they weren't black?
Oh no, I don't. I think anybody's is open for discussion. Okay,
so she was wrong to say, well, we shouldn't be talking about that. You guys are calling out black people, and there's a white person in the room.
I'm going to explain myself for a different set of reasons. Okay, I think number one, I agree with what the intent of what she said.
Which is
because when I say that, the intent is that black people need the opportunity to correct ourselves in private. You know what I'm saying?
Why is that?
And I'm trying to explain it.
Okay.
So I agree with the energy and the intent that she probably had. The execution, I wasn't there, so I don't know what's going on. Now, so like that's me on the outside looking in saying that's not my business. That's me being on code, you know what I'm saying, based on the resources and understanding of what scenario. Based on the scenario that you painted, it's not wrong to have the discussion. You know what I'm saying? I can't read the energy that she came into the topic with, you know what I'm saying, without seeing it firsthand.
But now, is it wrong to have the discussion because
no, it's not wrong. I know it's not wrong to have the discussion.
Because white people are present.
I don't care about that part. See,
that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, and so, but I don't care for a different set of reasons. Okay.
Right.
I don't care that she don't like the idea of where she should have the discussion, simply because I don't think that women have a code in general. So if you're gonna, because then that's an example of it to me. Like, you got to be able to have every conversation. It's not the conversation that you have, it's how you respond to the energy from the conversation. You see what I'm saying? But by avoiding the conversation and not welcome the opportunity to hear other people's opinions, takes on it, and not being able to speak to it, and you know what I'm saying, like at least be able to get the right optics on why you have the opinion that you have. And maybe she wasn't prepared to do that day. You see what I'm saying? So maybe she just.
But so is it fair to say she was, because white people were present, you shouldn't have that you were off code talking about the topic?
No, no. I'm saying for whatever her personal reasons were, I can't peek into that. I can understand why she would opt not to have the conversation. Everybody ain't ready to have the same conversation at the same time for different reasons.
Garfield, what's your take on that?
I think that we should have certain conversations. I understand the privacy aspect of it, but I feel like the conversations, it does kind of come back to reading the room. Who's in the room? What is the topic of discussion that we're talking about? You know, it's so many different variables that go into it, but I think generally speaking, you know, kind of like what Vic said, kind of understand the room and say, okay, is this something that we really need to talk about right now? Or is it something that we can talk about at another time? At the same time, in the intent and the purpose of the conversation, I think really the purpose of what you're talking about and the subject matter of the content is so much more important. And that's what,
and the feelings and the reaction in the meantime.
Because I mean, I can say, yeah, you know, you shouldn't talk about this. We should talk about it. But like, let's say, like, let's do a good one. One that's always talked about, but we don't like. All right, so, in culturally speaking, we are kind of sort of raised to talk to whatever happens in the house stays in the house, right?
I agree with that.
We kind of all kind of sort of taught that a little bit,
right?
Good
outside the house.
Good, bad, or indifferent. All right. But when you go outside the house and you talk about that uncle who went to jail, who's really friendly with the little girls. You know what I mean? They're like,
They're
well, you
off
know,
code.
you off code if you start talking and having those
The
conversations with them.
stations. Good.
But
Okay.
those are safety. Those are a lot of little girls. You know, I don't want to get all into that, but I'm just saying
Right.
there's one thing that sometimes in our community we will protect people, even though they have broken the law, even though they have hurt people. In at least how I was raised, in a sense, and just maybe certain things that I learned or may have heard growing up, whether it was immediate family or outside the family, was that, you know, what happens in the house stays in the house.
Right.
And what
Right.
I've heard from other people in my years of growing up is like, we know we got some family members who ain't doing what they supposed to do or not right. So we don't talk about that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Okay, so I get it.
And
So
I don't really know where that is. You know, I know from a personal opinion, I don't really talk about those things just around anybody. You know,
exactly. But
but
for the sake of that's why I was saying, but because the topic was that, right?
mhm,
And you knew the panel way before the whole thing
mhm,
happened, right? There is no code, obviously,
mhm,
because if you're gonna bring up that discussion and you want to go there, then the white people being there shouldn't be a problem because you want to go there.
mhm.
And if the majority wanted to go there, I was saying, well, if the majority wanted to go there, you know, the white people are right there. So it's not about being off code if you're willing to talk about it and they're giving their input because you're willing to have the conversation in front of them.
The
And I think it
discovery
may
is
have been
The conversation
everybody.
should have never happened.
I think maybe
but
everybody didn't want to have the conversation.
yeah, and
Certain
that's
people
and that's
did.
and the discovery in that is that women don't have no code. That's my
Right.
point.
Right.
And I wrote a book called The Code because we need to have etiquette. So you see what I'm saying? Like the very fact that you didn't know, you asking questions about code and examples of it means you know that there needs to be one.
Right. Because I mean, I would not bring up my like Garfield said, I wouldn't bring up my personal once I leave my house, you ain't gonna know what happens in it.
And you got to
Yeah.
understand that some people gonna treat other people's issues with that type of intensity because there's a level of personal obligation and connection to it, which is why you have that passion for it. You got to understand, like when you watching stuff that people respond to that happens to human beings on a physical level, they may have had someone that's either been a victim of that or the antagonist, and they've either defended or supported in some way, shape, or form. That's the only way that we can develop a connection to something that we actually care about. You see what I'm saying? So understand that people won't say that they coming from a personal place or anything like that. But if you pay attention, you could tell, you know what I'm saying, why it affects them. You ain't got to know every single detail. You got to know how they respond to trauma. You don't have to know like what their personal experience was. You got to understand that everybody ain't gonna be ready to have the same conversation that you think need to be had.
Okay.
And that's the biggest thing in respecting people's personal space and their
So
intimate.
code in general, if I may say, is not having a conversation that shouldn't be had.
It's
Code
about
is
timing.
It's about timing and it's about respect.
Yes. And empathy, patience, and gratitude.
So it really has nothing to do with nationality. It just has to do with the level of respect in a certain conversation.
And see, here's the thing: there's a great miseducation that's happened in America about everybody else being miseducated about everybody else, right? Nobody has been more miseducated about one group of people than Black people have been miseducated by. Everybody else been miseducated about Black people in America, in the world. So now
wait a minute. In what way, when you say miseducated?
You got some white people that don't think slavery happened. You got some white people that don't see systemic oppression. You got some Black people that don't even know that race is still an issue in our country, in our culture, and in the way that we move. You don't understand. A lot of people don't understand systemic oppression. A lot of people don't understand what was done to their ancestors. So, and it's evident based on where they are right now. Because if you knew what happened to you and why you got in the situation you did, it would give you incentive to create more success.
So do you think that? Okay, so you think so? It's fair to say I find the majority of Black people operate from a victimhood mentality, right?
Those are Black people that you might know. That's only.
Well, I'm just speaking generally. I feel generally.
I don't agree with that. I don't.
You don't have to, but I'm just generally speaking,
yeah,
right?
I'm just letting you know I don't agree with a general assessment.
Generally speaking, I feel Black people are raised with a victimhood mentality, because the opportunity, I don't speak on slavery because the opportunity that I've had in my life and other Black people and the current Black people have had in their life doesn't even touch a torch to slavery, right? Because you don't touch that. That's something that you will never understand. You can read a book about it, but you can never understand it because you were born with a silver spoon compared to those people. So I don't try my best not to use it because I don't have the right to use it. I don't. I did not suffer like that. I know that based on what they went through,
you definitely don't in Montreal, but continue.
No, Montreal or United States. You guys have opportunities here that we don't have in Montreal. That's why I moved here, for the opportunity, right? You guys have an opportunity here that you have no idea how fortunate you are. Or whatever race.
Hold on. I want to say something. The issue isn't opportunity, is access to opportunity.
You have access to, and I'll say you have access to it because you do. But I'm going to say that because I'm outside looking in, right?
Yeah, and what I'm saying, and I want to make sure I'm clarified because I don't want you to say something that somebody else misreads. I'm not here to attack you again. Right. Understand what I'm saying? Like, you got to understand the user of the information, okay? See, when you tell somebody, like, so let's just take the standard household as that comes and fits all of the broken demographics that fits into the victimhood conversation, right? The person that's in there saying, like, I got to break the generational curses that my family's been experiencing. The fact that we talk about generational curses and only Black people are associated with that, you can't have the victimhood piece and not talk about that part, okay? There's a mass miseducation of people in terms of how to get access, because you just identified education earlier, okay?
Right.
Communication, all of these things are barriers to.
Is he frozen?
Mm-hmm.
I think he froze, right?
Yeah.
Does he know he's frozen?